Welcome to the Gabrielle Spencer Power Up Your Abundance podcast. Unlock and unleash your abundance by getting your no-charge MP3 at uanow.net/unlock.
Hello and welcome. This is Gabrielle Spencer. Thank you for joining me today for Power Up Your Abundance. I am so excited to have with us today someone I've watched and known for a long time, Darnyelle Jervey Harmon. She is an amazing entrepreneur, and her business is Incredible One Enterprises. Her focus is helping entrepreneurs to grow their business the right way. And I can tell you she knows the right way because her business makes over $1 million a year. And she is here to tell us about how she got there, but more importantly, what's happening now in business. So with that, I welcome you, Darnyelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabrielle. Oh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this moment for so long because I just love you. I love your energy. I love your focus and your commitment for those that you serve. And I just love it when I get to play around with rock stars. So thank you for having me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you because you have gone what I consider to be like the long haul. And this is something that I'm noticing is really important to explain to people, that you get there generally through the long haul more than that, oh my God, I just made it overnight. And I would love it if you would talk about how you got from where you started and when you started and where you are now, and kind of what is the importance of investing in the long haul and coming up with a plan, because doing business right it's a big deal, and it makes a lot of sense because you don't waste time, although you are it's like getting that wheel in motion in the correct motion. It's really important.
Yeah.
So if you'd share some of that with our audience, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I've been in business for 10 years. And I will tell you that when I first started my business back in late 2007, I had no idea what I was doing, to be quite honest. I thought that I could ride the wave of my corporate success and my direct selling success. So when I left corporate America, I was a Mary Kay Cosmetic Pink Cadillac sales director. So I thought I could just start my business and kind of start where I left off with my Mary Kay, and it really didn't work that way. And so early on, I realized that even in 2008, those of you who are listening were around and in business at that time, it was starting to get noisy. Today, it's like people are screaming at you, but it was starting to get noisy. And so there was this real need to be able to get really, really clear about my messaging and who I was and the problem that I solved in the marketplace, so that I could rise above that noise that is even more prevalent today than it was then. And it was important for me to do probably three things, Gabrielle. Number one, to remain true to my value system and what's most important to me. One thing I would want your listeners to know is that I love God, and I will not be offended if you call it source or the universe, or I'm not offended by that because God's not offended by that. But I love God, and for me it is God, and I love being able to help people to combine spiritual principles with business growth strategies. So it was important that even in starting my business, that foundation be established. And then the second thing that was really important is that I got to be myself. I started out in this marketplace trying to be a clone of someone who was quote unquote better, and didn't find any success or any authenticity or even any ease or peace with which to do anything. And so I kind of had to go back to the basics and get back to my roots and establish that firm foundation that if I was going to do this work, I was going to do it as Darnyelle Antoinette. That's my middle name, for anybody who's wondering where that came from. And then the third thing was that I wanted to be able to have fun. I think that by and large, we are too serious of a people. And we need to laugh more. We need to have more fun. We need to be able to, quote unquote, put our hair down and encourage other people to do the same. And so those were kind of my guiding principles back in 2008 when I started my company, even though I didn't really know what I didn't know. And so the first year we did about $20,000 in revenue. We were right in line with the statistics, which are that 65.22% of entrepreneurs do not generate in excess of $50,000 a year in gross receipts. And then I've had enough. I hired a coach because I didn't know what I didn't know. And although I knew business, I didn't know this online landscape. And so I started working with coaches, and I started to get clarity, and I started to get my confidence up so that the skills that I brought to the table were actually able to resonate in the marketplace for me to attract clients. That next year we did about $88,000. By the third year, we were over $250,000. And a few years after that, we crossed over 7 figures. It was struggle because the work that we never want to do is the clarity work. We just want to pop out there, throw our shingle up, and expect for the phone to ring and the website hits to go through the roof. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so today I really pride myself on helping high-achieving entrepreneurs do that work spiritually. I know, we could have a whole conversation, as we've had in the past, Gabrielle, about alignment and being in alignment and showing up powerfully because you see yourself the way that God sees you, and that resonates in everything else that you do, because I think that's what made the difference for me. The more I stood my ground in who I am, who I be, the more I saw my success resonating for other people and people wanting to work with me to get the results that they were craving in their life and in their business.
So many points here, so many points that you make that are so valuable. Being true to yourself means that you actually have to know also who you are. I mean, that's a huge piece. And I know it sounds obvious, but I know that you've coached people through that discovery process, because that can be also what is limiting people, is that they actually don't know exactly. They're hoping they'll figure it out along the way. And, that's sort of inviting the school of hard knocks method of learning, right? There are many really easier ways to go about discovering who you are within and what it is you stand for and what it is you're wanting, because that's another piece that I know I see, and I'm going to guess, and you can tell us if you see it too, but people will choose a business or something to be a consultant or a coach or something based on the idea of how much money they could make from it versus that it's something they truly love doing. Do you find that same?
Absolutely. And I think it's not enough, though. Like, it's great to start out with a mission to want to do work that only you love, and that's what I get to do today. But that by itself is not enough, and it doesn't give you a pass from learning what you need to learn about building a business, right? One of the things I will often have clients do is I'll have them take a sheet of paper and we'll put it in 3 columns, right? So one column is the things you hate to do. The second column is the things you tolerate doing. And then the third column are the things you love to do. And the things that you hate to do and the things that you tolerate doing, you still need to know how they are done if you have a business. So there's this fallacy, if you will, that a lifestyle business means that you don't have to be a business person. Well, that's a lie, right? To be in business, to generate revenue, to impact the world, to be able to pay your bills and have money left over, there are systems and processes that need to be set up in order for you to execute that inconsistency. And most people, a lot of entrepreneurs think that I can just do what I love and I don't have to worry about the rest of it. And that's a lie. And so I've really pride myself on teaching entrepreneurs everything that it's going to take to build a business. They may end up outsourcing the hate to do's and the tolerate doing, but they still need to know what they are so they can create a system around it so that it's done the way it needs to be done, so that they get the results that they want to have happen and move their business forward.
I have to agree with you a gazillion %, because even though I was in business for many years, I thought that I was in business. And then when I actually was like, okay, I need to get more serious about this because it's time for me, to go out there and go public, really. I realized I didn't know how to do it. And now I did the same as you. I finally bit the bullet and hired a business coach. And what I learned was the foundation of business. And I, like you, had that successful corporate career and blah, 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 but it did not translate to having an online actual business, because it's completely two different worlds. You don't do things the same, and you need other tools in place, as you're saying, in order to be productive and to even know what things you would want to source out and what actually needs to be done. I know that, I always was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and I'm listening to all these webinars and doing all these things, and, so right now I'm working on maybe a webinar, and okay, well, now they're saying I need to do Facebook ads, and I need to go do this and that, and so basically you end up spending all this time and money and energy running after all these things, hoping something is going to work. And so that's where I know, right? And that's like that horrible cycle where you feel like, oh my gosh, I just need something to break through, but you actually are setting yourself up to continue that same cycle over and over. It's not going to break through. It's a very small percentage that would actually fall into place, and everything then just, rights itself, right? So agreed that you have to get the foundation, and once you do, I know what happens. You just can expand, and that foundation stays with you. So just like any house that you're building, without the right foundation, if it's built on sand, it's not going to be very strong for you. If it's built with holes in it, it's not going to really help you. You have to have that firm foundation, and that's what makes it possible. So that is what I think is amazing about what you're offering people, because you've taken your foundation, and I know that you've expanded and you are able to reach that 7 figures because of how you've set things up. And
absolutely.
What you're teaching people. So now what I want to know is, share with me the trends that you're seeing in the online world, because I know that it changes really quickly, and I'd love to know like some of the secrets that you're sharing with your clients. What do you see?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm seeing a couple of different things, but the biggest overwhelming thing that I'm seeing is so much noise. I don't know about you, but I feel like every time I go on Facebook, like everyone has a 6 or 7 figure business that they created working 10 minutes a day while sitting on the beach with their laptop. And so there's this fallacy that building a business is easy. I think building a business is simple, but it's not easy, right? But there's this fallacy out there. So more and more people are spending money on Facebook ads. I think that's a big trend. I think there was a time when being on Facebook and running ads was extremely profitable and you had a good ROI. I think it's still possible to get a great ROI today, but you have to really dial in, because they're changing the algorithms almost weekly, it seems like. And I'm not mad at Facebook. Facebook's mission is to be profitable, is to generate revenue. And so they're constantly making these changes to do that. I think because of that, the challenge is, if you are in your business and you are not yet at multiple 6 figures, you should not be doing Facebook ads. This is my opinion, based on what I'm seeing online, and this is what I teach my clients. And the reason why, I think that there is a time and place for funnels and sequences and ads and launches, but that time is not before you're generating 6 figures. And the reason why is because you are going to burn out long before you cash out if you try to get online before your time. You have to perfect your system. You have to have your foundation tight. You have to know that you know that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that if your clients do 1, 2, and 3, they will produce 4, 5, and 6. And it takes time for you to dial that in. In my own business, Gabrielle, I was working privately with clients for a good 3 to 4 years before I created a group program. So there's a lot of people talking about leverage from day one, and leverage from day one is awesome if you can get it. But if you're just showing up in the marketplace, or you've just figured out who you are and who you be, you don't want to lead with a group program because you haven't dialed it in to know that the success that you can create for your clients will be predictable, and every client who does these steps can do it. And so what this whole surgence of Facebook ads and ads and launches and promotability is doing is it is creating an environment for newer entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who haven't taken the time to set the foundation and do their work to get lost in the noise and actually become it, because they're not ready to do what they're thinking they need to do, because every time they turn around, they see another sponsored post from someone they know, and they make the assumption that because their post is playing on Facebook, they must be making it rain in their business. And there's a lot more people who are wiping out than there are that are cashing out online in that way. And let's just look at the statistics, right? So, and when I say statistics, I really mean the conversion rate. If I were online, and let's say I put an ad out, and in putting that ad out, it was seen by 1,000 people. Do you know that, and I'm not necessarily talking to you because I think you know this, but to the people who are listening, do you know that that ad, 1,000 people seeing it, that somewhere between 1 and 3% is actually going to do something with it? So that means for every 1,000 people who see your ad, only 30 are going to click. Of those 30 who click, the percentage of people who take the next step is, guess what? It's still 1 to 3% on average. So now let's take that same 30, and I'm going to give you 3%. And that means that less than one person is buying whatever it is you want to sell.
Yeah.
So if you're spending
expensive.
it is very expensive. And so if you're spending your hard-earned money throwing it into Facebook ads, you're not getting the return that you need. You're going to go bankrupt in your business before you actually become the phenomenon that everyone is talking about online. So what we have to do is we have to teach, and I teach that you can do some things online, but your goal needs to be to bring people offline as quickly as possible. And so here is, and this is another trend you're seeing right now, everybody and their grandfather has a webinar, and that webinar is, 30 to 50 minutes long, and they're teaching you something hopefully, or they're fluffing you for that period of time, and then they want you to book a call at the end. That is actually a strategy that can work very, very well. It's a trend that's going on right now because the best marketing is educational, it taps in emotionally, and it allows you to connect to the person who's watching so that they want to take the next step. But what you'll have to notice for the people who are doing well online, they're not just doing a Facebook ad to their product or their service, they're doing a Facebook ad to something free so that they get the lead. And from getting the lead, they hope you watch their webinar. And in watching their webinar, they hope that you stay long enough to get to the end to get the opportunity to have a call with them or someone on their team so that they can have an offline conversation with you and increase the likelihood that they would enroll you into their program. So when we go offline, our conversion, it bounces up to, on average, between 10 and 25%. So you can be 1 to 3% online, or you could be 10 to 25% offline. And so the best strategies, the best way to counteract the trend is to start online potentially and then to move them in an offline conversation. And here's the thing, you don't need to do Facebook ads to start it online. We are having great success in posting something to Instagram or Facebook, or even doing a Facebook Live video and then doing follow-up conversations with people via Messenger to get them to an offline conversation and close them into a program. And there is a finesse. I'm giving you the strategy, anybody who's listening, but the strategy alone will not move your business forward, because there's other variables that need to be involved in being able to actually implement the strategy to the success that you want. Like I said, growing a business is simple, but it's not easy. There are a lot of nuances that you need to understand, and that's why you need coaching and mentorship support for the nuances. Or you can keep banging your head against the wall, hoping that eventually you break through, if you choose not to go and hire someone and invest in yourself through them, so that you can avoid everything that it takes to get to whatever your next level is.
Amen. I mean, everything you say is absolutely truth. All of these things are important, but it's also timing, where you are in your business growth, how you're set up, doing a strategy, but it all is, you can't have one piece without the other, basically. You have to have all the pieces together, because without certain things in place, even doing that strategy you just proposed, which I've seen a lot, it won't work if you don't have the follow-up piece, if you don't have the strategy call, what you're going to actually talk to them about, how you're going to move them through that one-on-one interaction. And I agree with you that the one-on-one interaction is where we are driving people, because it's in that personal interaction. I feel like that's the trend with the online. Everybody at some point loved the convenience that you could get these programs and all of that, but I'm certain you probably will agree with me that it's not really working that way anymore. People want the one-on-one. They realize that buying a program isn't really that helpful, because they might start it, but they don't finish it. They don't make the time to do it, and it just becomes one more program that they purchased, and they don't follow all the way through. So people have realized now, after, this has gone on for a while, that they're going to do that. And so they're less likely just to say, okay, I'm going to buy and I'm going to really do it, because they've learned now that they really don't follow through. So the trend, and I think that this is being shown in other ways, because I know you have a really huge part of your business that capitalizes on this, and I know you just did a training on it, and I want you to give us a little tidbit about it, which is the live events piece, and that's making a huge comeback. So share just I know, because people want they want the human connection, I think.
So live events, I've always done live events in my business, because I love the power of proximity. I love to be able to reach out and touch people and to watch the breakthroughs happen right in front of me. And the 3-day training that I'm doing is actually coming up, so it hasn't happened yet. But I love teaching people how to create their own success. We've been very successful. I've been doing live events since I started my business, but I've been profiting from them over the last 7 years. Since 2011, we've generated about $6.6 million just from live events, from bringing the right people through the doors, like serving them fully over 3 days, and then inviting them to continue the transformation in one of our programs after the event is over. It's been very successful. I love it. Even in my programs, I do live events. Like, they get to come together for retreats every few months to get that community part together. There will always be the people who just want to, sit behind their computer, and so online courses will continue to be something successful going as we continue to move forward. But you also will always have those people for whom being in connection and community with people, for getting out of their comfort zone and going to a new place to connect with other people, you'll always have that as well. So live events for me, it's everything. I get to do my best work over 3 days on a stage, and I just love being able to just watch, like I said, just watch the breakthroughs and have fun at the same time, because it's not all work. Although we do a lot of work at these events, we also have fun, and we dance, and we eat, and all kinds of good stuff, in creating community, because I think only what you do for others is what's going to last. And so if you really want to be known as a force in the marketplace, you've got to create your own community. Some of you might call it a tribe. I personally am not a lover of the word tribe. And the reason why is because tribe, that means one person is the leader and everyone else is following, whereas in community, we're all collaborating together. And I like to partner with the people that are in my community. I'm not the boss of them. They're not the boss of me. Together, we're all achieving. We're all getting more. And that's why I like community. But, no offense to those of you who have a tribe, love having a tribe, and want to grow your tribe. That's totally fine. But I'm really more into community and collaboration. And I just feel like tribe means somebody has to be in front so everybody else has to be behind. And that just doesn't gel with my spirit. But it is an amazing occurrence that happens when you get together with people, right? It's called the law of fellowship. Those of you who know the Bible, I'm talking about Matthew 18 and 21. But the law of fellowship, which is a universal law, basically says whenever you have two or more people gathered together, their results will be doubled, quadrupled, and just amazingness will happen. The Bible says wherever two or more are gathered, there he would be in the midst, which is creating that same type of environment. And so I love the power that happens in live events. And if you've not been to a live event, I would encourage you to get to one. If Gabrielle is having one, if you want to come to mine, let's have the conversation, because it will change your game. It will change your life. It'll change the way you look at things because of what happens in that power of the proximity of being together with other powerful, like-minded people.
I have to say, it's so true. I mean, make sure that this is for the audience, for when you decide on one to go to, connect within yourself to your highest self and ask to be shown, guided to the one that's going to benefit you, because they're not all the same, right? And you want to end up spending that time, money, energy at one that is actually really going to provide for you the inspiration, the community, and the foundational pieces that you need to pull things together for you. So for me, that's one of my big things, is helping people to be able to connect within to find out what their answer is, right? And so this is where, people in my community would know how to go ahead and do that, because when you ask for that spirit guidance, what happens for you is you get a lot quicker where you're needing to be, because you aren't using your mind to logically reason it out, right? You're following your spirit, which knows for you 100% the stepping stones you need to take to get where you're needing to be. Okay, so that's super important. And then, yes, when you are in the place you're meant to be, the ahas and the deep everything gets triggered within you. I want to say emotion, but it's just amazing. I know you've seen it. It just looks to me like it's like fireworks go off within a person. And isn't that just the most amazing thing when that happens? It's so exciting. That's what I think.
It is amazing.
It is amazing. It's like, oh my God. And I know for myself, and I know for you too, Darnyelle, that to me is what feeds my soul. Like when people, it just goes pop and they're like, oh my God, they're all lit up from within, for real. And that's so awesome. So I know that that's what you delivered, because when you and I were talking, we both understand this piece about spirit and business, that it's not separate. And for me, that was one of my big things. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, like, I get this sense as we're having this conversation that people who are listening to us are trying to connect the dots. So here's a great way that I like to teach people to determine if they're in alignment. And so I want you to make an I or my statement, right? So I am fat. And then I want you to change I or my to God and see if it still makes sense. God is fat. That doesn't make sense. God is not fat. If the statement no longer makes sense when you change I or my to God, you are out of alignment, because that means you're not seeing yourself the way God sees you. And God sees you as one of his most amazing creations. And he sees you that way all of the time, even when you fail, even when you miss the mark, even when you don't do as well as you could have done, he still sees you as one of the most amazing things he's ever created. And so I like to share that because people, depending upon who you talk to, they can go really, really deep on this alignment thing. And don't get me wrong, it is deep. But sometimes we just need to make it simple, right? We need to make it very easy for people to understand what alignment looks like and how to figure out whether they're in or out. And you'll also know you're out of alignment because everything will be hard for you. There won't be any flow. You'll have to work really, really hard. It won't feel good to you. Those are all signs. And even regardless of your belief system, in you, in your spirit, is the answer to everything that you need. And, if you happen to be a person who has read, I always refer to the Bible, although the Torah and the Quran, the other religions that I've studied, say the same thing, is we are all made in the image and likeness of God, right? So there is an element of God in each and every one of us. And so that means inside of you is everything that you need in order to be the most massively successful person that you ever dreamt of being in your life. And the reason you aren't rising up and experiencing that is because fear or self-sabotage or limiting beliefs due to your subconscious mind have kind of popped in, right? And most of us, we haven't figured out how to turn off the tapes that our subconscious mind created of us because they've been running from birth to the age of 7 nonstop, taking in everything. And so and that's why I said earlier when we first started talking, Gabrielle, the importance of doing the work, of doing my personal development work and encouraging others to do the same is so that you can begin to see yourself the way that God sees you and get into alignment so that the things that you want start to flow easily. And I know, because this is as much your wheelhouse as it is mine, Gabrielle, you probably have some other beautiful imagery to add to that to help people with it. And I wanted to bring it up now in case you guys are wondering, because I know we both believe this, because life and business are completely congruent, and because they aren't separate, without being in touch with who you are spiritually, it'll be challenging for you to build a business that brings you everything that you want.
Absolutely. I mean, everything that you're saying, I totally agree with, because it's when we have separation that you end up chasing your tail. It's when you're trying to satisfy one aspect of something and then the other side is not in balance because it's being left behind in some way. You have to bring all aspects of yourself together. And like I said, once the heart and spirit are connected within you and your mind is working in unison, that's when you have alignment. Heart, spirit, mind is the alignment. That's what gets that tape to stop running, is that the heart is actually open and leading and your spirit is guiding. And it gives me chills. It just gives me chills just now. Just like, boom. It's because this is the aspect that you're talking about, which I agree with, when you're tugging and pulling and pushing, it's what I say, when you're doing and trying, those are your first indicators that things are out of sequence for you.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, that's good.
Yes, because that's when you are fighting the wave of energy versus being in the flow of that energy. And so everything that you're saying, I agree, because we all live it. And sometimes even I will find myself, like, okay, wait a second. Why suddenly is everything stonewalled? Where did I start allowing my mind to make my decisions? And then, like, back up. Okay, recenter, let go of all these things I'm thinking about and doing, because, we do in business, we get caught up in the doing, yeah? And then suddenly you have to remember, oh, wait a second, I too need to slow down here for a minute and regroup and allow what is next to show me what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it's having all of those pieces in place where you can continue to walk your journey And it doesn't become a judgment or a bad thing that you may or may not be on track. It's just, okay, this is where I am, and boom, I know just what to do. I know I need to reconnect and get some assistance, guidance, and like that.
Yeah.
But that's also what's great about having a coach, Darnyelle, is having somebody to say, hey, hello, stop what you're doing, right?
Right, absolutely.
Really wonderful to have. So I want you to talk too about, I believe you have a gift for people and how they can get in touch with you if they resonate and want to talk to you more about attending your events or working with you. Tell us how they can do that.
Absolutely. So again, I just want to say thank you and honor this platform that you've created and allowing me an opportunity to share. I really, really appreciate it. So for those of you who are listening that I've kind of piqued your interest and you'd love to see whether or not, being a part of my community is part of what's next and best for you, then I do have a gift I would love to give you. I'm really big into teaching entrepreneurs how to connect spiritual principles to messaging and marketing so that their sales systems and scalability actually happens the way that they want, as simplistically as possible. And to introduce you to my work, I'd love for you to attend my masterclass. It's called Unlock Six-Figure Cash Flow. And so just so we're clear, this is not about having a six-figure business. This is about having six-figure cash flow. So I want to show you how to make the shift from six-figure business to six-figure cash flow, even if you haven't crossed the six-figure mark yet. And if that makes you excited, then you can go to unlocksixfigurecashflow.com, unlocksixfigurecashflow.com. The six is spelled out. And that will that will introduce you to me and my work and give you an opportunity to learn from me and learn some of the strategies that I share that will position you to unlock six-figure cash flow. That's my gift, because when you've been blessed, you pass it on.
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, having a coach that you resonate with is worth so much in every way, financially too, but in getting you and helping you with your messaging and helping you get out there in a way that's comfortable for you. It's just, I cannot tell you how much of a shift that will make in your business and in your overall love for what you're doing. Because as Darnyelle said earlier, it's great to say, I'm a healer, I'm a coach, I'm a this or that, but you actually have to bring that into fruition to really love it, because doing anything and having it drain you financially and emotionally and energetically, it's not going to remain a love for very long. So we want everybody to be successful. We need all of us to raise our vibration and to participate and give of ourselves, and in the same, receive. I mean, that's all. You can't have one without the other. It's all a beautiful circle, and one part plays into the other. And so I thank you, Darnyelle. I just absolutely love your message and what you're doing for people and helping them really embrace the foundational pieces and what it really takes. I believe in the practicality, and that's what I love about you is, there's a practical side, and then there's the other parts. And when you put them all together, I just feel like you just get your soup to nuts. It just, boom, it all comes together in a beautiful way. So everyone, I encourage you to take advantage of Darnyelle's free offer, because it may be that piece that you have been searching for, and now you have found it. So thank you so much, Darnyelle, for being here and doing what you do with the love in your heart that you share with everyone. I just really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. I appreciate the opportunity again.
And everyone who's listening, we send you much love, light, and abundance. Have an amazing day.
If you are ready to work with Gabrielle and open your heart to unlimited abundance, go to uanow.net/apply.